الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأزواجه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون صدق الله العظيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has created human beings, and no one is more aware of the habits, the nature, and the behaviors of human beings than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as He created us, He didn't just throw us into this world that do whatever you think is good. In fact, He gave us instructions, He gave us beautiful teachings, and He gave us beautiful guidance to follow in order to make the best use out of our lives. And in this regard, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taught us of what is good for us, what we are supposed to do, how we are supposed to live, what is expected from us in this world, He also informed us of the things that will be preventing us from doing what we are supposed to do, the obstacles that will come on our ways, how to deal with those situations, how to treat those type of diseases and evils that will prevent us from continuing our journey towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as human beings, we can very well understand that we go through a lot of different situations in our life. In many of these situations, we try to guess. And then, according to our understanding, we try to come up with the solution and deal with the situation. Of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as He in Quran al-Kareem, He told us all the details about how to deal with these situations. There is no need for us to have our guesses, and then if the guess is wrong and the answer is wrong in many of these situations, the person will be ruining his time, and in some of the situations a person may end up ruining his a'mal, and it could become even worse and a person ends up ruining his iman. A lot of time we see people at the time of facing some situations, they say things about that situation, or they come up with some judgment regarding that situation, that if you take those words and ask a fatwa about it, right away the answer will be that this could not be from a Muslim. The reason behind all of these things is that we have not learned from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the light of the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how to deal with ourselves. Mainly it's dealing with ourselves more than dealing with others. We learn dealing with others and we keep on asking about those things, but when it comes to dealing with ourselves, in many of the situations, really, for many people, this is not even a concern, and they don't even think that this is something that we need to learn. Whereas this is the most important thing, how to deal with ourselves. A person who's learning how to drive, before he would worry about how others will be turning and how others will be coming on his way, he has to learn how he himself is going to drive his car. If the person has no control over his own steering, he doesn't know when to press the brake, when to turn the signals on, and how to turn the signals on, and how to turn the lights on of his own car, and he worries about every other car on the street, this will not be of any help to this person. Same thing, normally our situation is, we learn about everyone else, and how to deal with others, and what others are doing, and how these people are doing different things. But when it comes to ourselves, we never even try to think about, I really need to learn how to deal with myself. Dealing with ourselves is something that Quran teaches us in detail. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, as he spent time with Sahaba Ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'in, this was one of the most important teaching of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam to the Sahaba Ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'in, and thus to the Ummah, and that is how to deal with our souls, how to deal with our lives, how to deal with our times, how to deal with different type of behaviors that we have. We ourselves, we have behaviors. The child is born and loves to suck milk. This is a nature that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created in a human being. As a child, that thing is needed. If the child doesn't have that habit, may not be able to survive at all. At the same time, when the child is hungry, starts crying, it's a habit that is needed at that time. Because the child cannot speak, cannot convey his needs. Therefore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the child that habit of crying. Then whenever the child sees the food, the type of food that he or she likes, they like to grab it and eat it. Anything, they would put it in their mouth. We know the children. You give them anything in their hand, they like to put it in their mouth. These are the habits that are needed for the human beings at that time. But we need to realize, after all, these are habits in human beings. And we cannot keep reacting according to those habits throughout our lives. We cannot just be with those things throughout our lives, that whenever we see something we would cry for it. We would like to suck everything, we would like to eat everything, we would like to put everything in our mouth. We would like to grab everything we see in front of us. We cannot continue with it. At what stage of our life did those habits go away? They never went away. If we don't work on them, they won't go away. Sometime a question comes in the mind that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created this nature, the nature of a human being, very clean and pure. Yes, this is clean and pure nature. Things that are needed at a certain time, now we need to learn the right use of them. We don't learn the right use of these things, they continue in the same way. And this is our habits, we know, we see it. Our nafs is doing the same thing. As we grow up, we see anything, we cry for it, we would like to have it. Anything that we can possess, we will just run and get it. I would like to get it and keep it to myself. These are the habits that were there in the child, and as we grew, these habits just kept on growing and getting worse and worse. In this regard, we talked about one thing, and that is called mujahada, controlling our nafs. Imam Busiri rahmatullahi alayhi said a beautiful poem. وَالنَّفْسُ كَالطِّفْلِ. Our nafs is just like an infant, like a child. إِن تُهْمِلْهُ شَبَّ عَلَى حُبِّ الرِّضَاعِ. If you allow it, if you just let it be the way it is, the child will grow up loving to suck milk. وَإِن تَفْصِمْهُ يَنْفَصِمِ. And if you force the child from having that milk, then it will stop, the child will stop. but will cry for some time. We know the mothers, when they stop giving children milk, the child is crying, but she won't offer him that milk anymore. Before some time, when the child wouldn't take the milk for some time, for some hours, she would force him to it. Now, the same mother is forcing the child to stop having that milk and he has to go on a regular food. The child cries, doesn't want. She would like to give him something else. She would like to give him some juice. No, he doesn't want, he cries. Okay, let him cry. But I'm not going to give him that anymore. I have to change his habit. This is our nafs. إن تهمله شب على حب الرضاع. If you let it grow the way it was, it would love to always suck milk throughout the life. This is what Imam Basri rahmatullahi alayhi says, that if we let those habits of the childhood grow, they will just keep on growing in us. We have to work on ourselves. We have to work with ourselves. We have to deal with our souls. We have to learn how to deal with our souls. One of the worst problems we find around, that really large number of people, they really don't care of how they deal with themselves. Their only worry is how to deal with others. And this is why we sometimes find people getting into some major problems regarding the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For example, and I have seen this myself, they see someone, a kafir, who smiles to every person. When he sees people, he smiles to them, he deals with them in that way. They see another person, he dealt with the person, he didn't smile. They will start comparing, look, this person was supposed to be such a great scholar, imam, shaykh, alim, hafiz, whatever title he may have. But look at the way he dealt with those people, and look with the way that kafir dealt with these people. I'm not saying we shouldn't show those akhlaq, but the most important thing to learn is what is in the heart of both of these people, the one that is smiling and the one that is not smiling. A person smiles on your face so that you are convinced that he likes you, until when you turn your back around and he's going to stab you in your back. Is that smile something that the world is looking for? Another person, he shows you straightforward of what he thinks about you, regardless of the situation. But one is truthfulness, even with himself. He doesn't even want to cheat himself. And the other is, he doesn't care how he deals with himself. This is the most important thing. Of course, then Sharia will teach us the akhlaq, will teach us everything. But the situation of the heart, what is going through my heart and mind at this time? Is it what I'm trying to show everyone else, or is something totally different? When I'm showing people that I'm something, what's in my heart? How I'm dealing with myself. This is dealing with others now, that I'm trying to show them something. But how am I dealing with myself in this situation? I'm doing the salah. Even in salah, we are dealing with others, not with ourselves. How people are going to look at me while I'm doing the salah. Now with all the thoughts that are going through my mind, how I'm dealing with myself, this is the least concern of a person. So dealing with ourselves became the least concern of ours. The only thing is superficial things, just showing others. This is extremely important for us, that we learn how to deal with our own souls, with our thinking, with our behaviors, and whatever we are doing, we need to know what we are doing, how we are doing it, and for what reason we are doing it. That is dealing with our souls. And this thing, for this we have to watch ourselves. We have to watch each and every action that we perform, whether it's a physical action or it's an internal action that we are taking within ourselves and no one is aware of it. Which means our thoughts. What's my plan? What is it that I would like to achieve? We need to do that with ourselves. This is called muraqabah in the Sharia. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu attaqullah. O you who believe, have the taqwa of Allah. وَلْتَنْظُرْ نَفْسٌ مَا قَدَّمَتْ لِغَدٍ. Every person should watch what he has sent forth for tomorrow. This is watching our souls. وَلْتَنْظُرْ نَفْسٌ مَا قَدَّمَتْ لِغَدٍ. Watch all of your actions to see what you are sending ahead of you. We need to watch our souls. Just like someone is at your home and there is a feeling. If there is a feeling in your heart that this person, although he's doing some work in my house, but I think he's a robber, he's a thief. If that feeling comes into our heart, in our mind, that this person, I think he's a thief, how closely we are going to watch that person when he's working around our belongings. And if you have to take him into the room where there are more valuables, where you have kept your jewelry, the cash, whatever else, we will be extremely careful on how we deal with that person and how much we watch that person while he's working over there. We are watching that person because there is a fear that this person at any time, he may end up doing something, he may steal something, he may pick up something. And I can't afford to lose this. As much as we are afraid of anyone else stealing from anything and stealing our valuables, there should be more fear of our nafs stealing from our iman. As soon as the person gets satisfied from the side of his nafs, right then, that is the time when the nafs really takes everything he wants from the person. This is what our nafs wants from us. That you worry about all the other people. How that person did his prayers, how the other person did his amal, how the other people are doing their work. Worrying about everyone else. But the nafs would like us to forget about ourselves. Don't worry about yourself. The robber that's in the house, he's telling you, I'm watching inside here. You go outside and just stand at the door, make sure no one comes in. Because you don't want people to come and rob your home. What are we going to tell him? Don't worry about it. Let the door be open, let people take whatever they want. This is my worry at this time, what you are doing here. But we never told our nafs this. The robber is telling us that you watch everyone else. And here I'm taking care of your assets. And we gave him everything. We said, okay, you take care of this, I'll try to take care of everyone else. This is the position of our nafs. That is trying to convince us, as far as you are concerned, it's all fine. Don't worry about anything. And when the person forgets about this nafs, and there's no fear of nafs attacking us from inside. The iman is inside, and this nafs is inside. The same nafs that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is warning us again and again about it, that it could rob you at any time, it could take your iman away at any time. This nafs is also inside there. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said in the hadith, أَعْدَى عَدُوك نَفْسُكَ الَّذِي بَيْنَ جَنْبَيْكَ. Your worst enemy is your own nafs that's within you. Don't point fingers at anyone else. The worst enemy is sitting within ourselves, who's preventing us from every good, who's making us get into every evil. It's not people. It's not shaitan who would hold our ear after salah, that here, you have to, I'm forcing you out of the masjid. Don't do any more rak'ahs now. No, it's our nafs that's telling us, you're too tired, or let's go out right now. When we see ourselves after salah, jumping out of our musalla and trying to run out, there is a feeling, let me just get out as quickly as I can. What is that feeling? Who's putting that feeling in there? Is there anyone else telling us something? Someone may be waiting outside. If you go and talk to the person, even if he's kafir, he will say, take your time. I'll wait for you. Take your time. But something within us is telling us, no, run out. He's waiting for you. The poor guy is waiting outside. Who is this? That kafir outside is telling us, take your time, do your prayer. Something from within us is telling us, no, you better go out. Nafsuka alladhi bayna jambayk, the nafs that is within us, that we haven't learned how to deal with. We never watch it. So watching our nafs is extremely important. We have to make sure that we watch each and every step of ours. How to watch ourselves? Whenever something comes up in our mind, before taking that action, before saying anything about it, before doing anything about it, let's ask ourselves, is this according to the deen of Allah? Is it must for me to do this? Imam Busiri rahmatullahi alayhi have said very amazing poem in the same qasidah. He says, وَلَا تَقْبَلْ مِنْهُمَا خَصْمًا وَلَا حَكَمًا. When the nafs comes to you, and sometimes the nafs comes to you as an opponent, he would like to fight you. No, let's do this. Comes up with the desire and forces us to it. Sometimes the nafs doesn't come as an opponent and opposition. What does it do? Hakaman. Comes as a judge. No, this is right. You must be doing this. And you're right in doing this. He says whether it comes to you as an opposition or it comes to you as a judge that is giving a statement in your favor, always tell the nafs, I don't want no judgment from you and I want nothing from you. I don't even want you to be my friend. Always, the first thing, the most important thing is we always doubt our nafs before doubting anyone else. Saying it is very easy, believe me. But putting it into practical life, doubting ourselves before doubting anyone else. In this, when a person is in that position, then really this person have understood his nafs. But first thing, let me question myself before I question anyone else. So watching the nafs, muraqabatun nafs, watching our nafs very closely of what this nafs wants from us, what the nafs would like us to do. This is extremely important. Without it, we may do our physical ibadahs. But as I said, they are just superficial things that we are performing just to show things that satisfy our souls that I have done something today. But in reality, when we look at the ruh of the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we can never achieve anything from that. With muraqabatun nafs, watching our nafs, as we watch our nafs, now the nafs will be doing different things for sure. Throughout the day, this nafs is busy doing something. And we have to keep on watching it. The nafs says, let's have some rest. Why? Throughout the day, we must watch it. With this, as we watch our nafs, what we need to do is muhasabah. Muhasabah means always judging our souls. Why do I have to do this at this time? Whenever the nafs wants something from us, wants some food, why? Is it because I like it or because I need it? Always questioning the nafs. If we have someone, you are the elder and he is under you, and every time he asks you for something, you ask him why. I need $1. Why? I'm leaving right now. I'm coming back in 5 minutes. Where are you going and why? Ask each and every question about each and every action of that person. That person will make sure that he always has some good cause of doing something because he knows the question will be why. Now, it might be that the person lies at us and then he makes up certain things and he goes away with it. But when we are dealing with ourselves, we know what we are doing. So muhasabatun nafs is extremely important, that when we watch ourselves, at the same time we keep on judging ourselves for each and every action. There were scholars, one of the scholars says, for 30 years, he used to keep a paper and a pen in his position at all time in his pocket. And whatever he speaks throughout the day, whenever he speaks something, he would write it down. This was his way, his habit for 30 years. That for 30 years, whatever he speaks, he would write it down. And he says, before I go to bed, I go through all the words that I have spoken throughout the day, and then judge myself, why did I say this? What was the reason for me to say this? What was the need for saying this? This is how closely they were judging themselves. Muhasabah. Questioning themselves. As Imam Tirmidhi rahmatullahi alayhi narrated on the authority of Imam Ibn Sirin rahmatullahi alayhi, saying, حَاسِبُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ قَبْلَ أَن تُحَاسَبُوا. Judge yourself before Allah will judge you. Allah will judge us for sure. The day of Hisab is coming for sure. حَاسِبُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. Judge yourself before that day will come when Allah will judge people. This is muhasabatun nafs, that everything that we would like to have, everything we would love to do, let's ask ourselves why. And put ourselves in the position of you are in charge of some young person and he is asking for it and you really don't want to give it to him. Except if that he will come up with a very valid reason you are not going to give it to him. Start judging yourself now. This will give us a good control over our nafs. That whenever the nafs wants something, the nafs will not just get it right there, right away, without questioning, why do you need it for? But of course we will be able to do this, judge ourselves only if we are watching our deeds. Otherwise you set it free and let do whatever you want. The children are out on the street, we don't know what they're doing, of course then they can do whatever they want. But if we are keeping an eye on them, and then you know that this child has done so many wrong things, so now you're keeping a very close watch on him, and then you want to be a little strict on the child because you want to change his behavior. You want him to change his behavior. We saw our nafs, what he has done up to this day. We will have to change our behavior. Look from the childhood what we have been doing. We loved every toy. We like to have it for ourselves. We like to keep it to ourselves. I mean, see what was our behavior from the childhood. At what stage of our life did all of those things go away? And we will realize, no, they never went away. It's only they changed the form. Before we used to cry for small toys, small homes, small cars, small furniture, these type of things. Now we started crying for the big ones. As soon as we see someone have it, right away the feeling comes, I wish if I had it. At what stage did these things go out? They never did. We never washed ourselves. In fact, we set ourselves so loose that we don't even know that this is what the nafs is doing to us. It's just wandering here and there. So we have to watch ourselves very closely. This is extremely important if a person is sincere and would like to have his relationship established with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and have the real ruh of iman and get the real sweetness of iman. If a person would like to taste the sweetness of iman, would like to have that feeling, how you can feel your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then we have to do this. And if we just we are satisfied with whatever we have, okay, I'm doing my prayers, I'm doing few things to satisfy myself, yes, I'm in the deen. then of course a person won't have no worries. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ لَا يَرْجُونَ لِقَاءَنَا. Those who do not look forward to see us. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us. Those who do not look forward to see me, to come and meet me. وَرَضُوا بِالْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَاطْمَأَنُّوا بِهَا. They are pleased and satisfied with this worldly life. They are pleased and satisfied. My business is doing well, I'm doing good. And with that I'm able to do whatever fara'id I have to do. Whatever I'm forced to do. وَرَضُوا بِالْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَاطْمَأَنُّوا بِهَا. They are pleased and satisfied with this worldly life. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ آيَاتِنَا غَافِلُونَ. And those who are heedless to my ayahs. If we really judge ourselves, we will realize this is what we are doing. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. But this is what we are doing. We are pleased and satisfied only because we are having a good living here. If a hardship will come from this side, we will start shouting and crying. From the other side, there is no worry. Because we are satisfied and pleased with this one here. And our relationship with ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we know that. If this is not ghafla, then what could be the ghafla? What we are dealing with the ayahs of Allah. If this is not ghafla, what could be worse than this? And at what time in our life do we remember that we hoped just to go and see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? You know, if I leave this world, at least what I will have is I will see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If these things are needed, if we really would like to establish that relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, have the taste of Iman before we die, because this is the time. Before we die, get that taste of Iman, have the sweetness of Iman, and feel the nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this life before we leave. Then this is what we need to do. With Iman, we need to watch our a'mal, we need to watch our nafs, and we need to start judging ourselves for each and every action. No time is better than the month of Ramadan for doing this, because for this, we will not be able to do it while we are still busy with everything else. We have to give ourselves some days, if not 10 days, 15 days, or a whole month, at least some days where we just sit in the house of Allah, for example, where even if it could be in the house, for example. Just the person sits by himself in the ibadah of Allah, and now he is just watching his nafs for those days very closely. He's watching his nafs, what the nafs is trying to do inside. With all the desires that are going to come up. Let me just go out for a minute. Can I go out and do this? Can I go out just for having a fresh air? All nafs. This is all nafs. It will come with all kind of excuses. In those days we will realize what this nafs is doing to us. So we have to sit by ourselves with our doing the ibadah of Allah, and then the purpose when we sit, it will be watching our nafs very closely. When we are sitting there in the ibadah of Allah, now busy in the ibadah of Allah, and at the same time watching our nafs. Umar radiallahu anhu, one day, he gave a khutbah. The whole khutbah was, "Oh people, if you know me, I used to be shepherd for my father, and I used to be walking in the jungle with so many patches on my clothes, and sometime I would step on a thorn." And he's mentioning all of his wrongdoings that he had done in the days of Jahiliyyah. When he came down, Abdurrahman bin Auf was very close to Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu. So Abdurrahman bin Auf asked him, "Amir al-Mu'mineen, what did you do today? What was this khutbah is all about?" He said, "Today my nafs was telling me that you are Amir al-Mu'mineen, so I said to my nafs, I will show you who you are." So he gives a whole khutbah telling people that, look, this is what I used to do. And he's hoping that now people will look down at me because of those things. And now he told his nafs, look, this people know now that this is what you have done. Of course, it's not the sins, it's not the disobedience of Allah that a person would mention to be proud of it. No, it's not those things. It's things where normally a human being doesn't want others to see him doing when he's in a higher position. Walking without slippers, falling down, sleeping on the desert, talking to his goats, talking to the animals and running after his animals. Something that we don't like people to see us. Even if we do it in our home, we don't want people to see us while doing it. Because we are holding that position. Now people know that this is what I do. Muhasabatun nafs. Muraqabatun nafs. Watching ourselves and then judging ourselves. As we sit by ourselves, we talk to ourselves, we need to judge ourselves. No. Let me see why you need and what you need. What are you making me do throughout my life? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to watch ourselves. And always watch ourselves more than we watch anything else in this world. The worst enemy that is within us, to watch it and always be very careful about it so that it won't attack our iman at any time. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect our iman and our deen. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to establish that strong relationship with Him. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين والمسلمات وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين.